Welcome to Made to Make. Here we talk about creativity, the challenges that come with it, and why we keep showing up anyway. Because hey, we are all made to make. Welcome to the We Are Made to Make podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Grissom. Today we're talking with author Paul Cwalina, who spent years in the business world before finally answering a lifelong call to writing. You know, what began as a nudge from an old elementary school friend led to 4 novels and a creative journey that proves it's never too late to become the creative you are meant to be. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you so much, Shannon. Great to be here.
You know, I was thinking about, you grew up in northeastern Pennsylvania and grandson of immigrants. How did that, how's that shaped your writing?
I think the first thing or the main thing that people would notice, a visitor to the area or somebody who moved here, would be the work ethic of the people. Very strong work ethic here, and we had our parents and grandparents as role models. As I said, both my grandfathers worked in the coal mines. Coal mining was a huge industry 100 years ago in this area. So, I mean, you have towns called Coaldale and, Carbondale, and a lot of things revolved around the mines. So that's what you see, or a visitor would see. As far as shaping my writing, I guess in 2 ways. I think the work ethic has made me finish what I start. So you commit to something and you do it. So that runs in the blood here, in the DNA. Also, it shapes the characters that I have. I'm not talking or not writing about rich kids on a yacht. I'm talking about your normal everyday characters. So.
Growing up with that, did you grow up with creative people, or was there a specific moment when you knew that you wanted to write?
Well, I've had the gift of writing from early on, right through, even in elementary school, middle school, actually from middle school right through college. Like every time I was in an English class and there was a writing assignment, the teacher or professor would always use my work as an example and read it to the class. So, which made me, very popular with my fellow students, I'm sure. So that it's always been there. So I've never taken credit for it. That is something that God wrote into my DNA. So that's just a gift, and I can't take credit for it.
Well, I was thinking about. So you started off young, and then probably life happened. What happened to shift you into writing, to actually take it up and start this journey of the books that you've written?
Oh, it actually started with a conversation. I reconnected with an old friend from elementary school on Facebook, and just by chance, and just got to talking to her, and I just noticed that she had written 3 Christian fiction novels. And I thought, wow, that is pretty wild. And they're published books and everything. So I, talked to her about it a little bit. And then after the conversation, it was like, we grew up in the same hometown. We went to the same elementary school. I mean, we diverged after that, but I thought, why can't I write a novel? I've always written essays and short stories, and I thought that's my limit. I can't really commit to writing a novel, but that's what really sparked it. My dad told me early on, when I was in high school, he said, you should be a writer. And I thought, what do fathers know? You can't make money, writing. So I went off into the business world, but like I said, it was always a hobby. Like I said, after that conversation with my friend, that's what started. That's what I said. I want to write a book.
So, are you a plotter or a pantster or somewhere in between?
In between. in between. Mostly, I think, I would say three of my four novels. I knew the beginning and I knew the end. The process was just weaving those two together. So I will outline and then just kind of, well, that outline can change a little bit. So, so a little bit of both.
Well, I've noticed talking about fleshing out a story, you say you've often admitted that you don't write comfortable stories. I found them to be authentic, though. So I would like to know, was that a conscious decision to wake people up, or?
I try to keep my writing as organic as possible. I really do feel like it's something moving through me. I remember in an interview a long time ago, the guitar player from U2, when they were promoting the Joshua Tree. So that's almost 40 years ago, and he said it generally feels like we're not writing this; something is moving through us.
Yes.
To write our music, and that's how I always felt, and that's why I never just sit down to my a computer and start writing. It's always something, and this story, the Dropping Stones story, the first one, was just something that was just nagging me. It's like almost daily, you have to write this, you have to write this, you have to write this. And I don't think my mind would ever be settled, if I had chosen not to write it. So that was the inspiration really for writing the story. As far as comfortable stories, I just find when I'm reading books or watching movies, and halfway through, I know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
You can almost guess exactly what the conversations are going to be and what the plot's going to be. I just found that uninspiring. So I always like to. Plus, it's not. Life isn't neat like that. Life isn't perfect. Life isn't all happy endings. So. Yeah. And that I think I read a lot of. I read a lot of Hemingway. Hemingway's probably my favorite writer, and he's far from comfortable stories, so it's probably an influence there. Farewell to Arms is probably my favorite novel, so, and that does not, not to spoil anything, but it doesn't end well.
No. So you've managed to write and work. What does your, it's not like everybody has the luxury to create all day long. You've managed to work it in a very busy life with lots of other interests. What does your writing process look like?
Well, right now it's very limited because since 2018 I've owned my own business, and that is just 60 hours a week, and some of it involves some physical labor, so I'm exhausted at the end of the day. It's very hard to sit down at a computer, and just be mentally with it to write. So I've had to just find a couple hours in the week just to continue a story that I've had. My current project is some short stories, but I haven't had like a full day writing since it's almost 8 years.
Yeah, I understand that. Mine's been, I haven't either. And so you just work with what you have, and I feel like as long as you keep the flow going, and actually if I don't do something creative, I'm not real good to be around. So it's kind of like my husband will say, maybe you need to paint. Like, okay.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Yeah, I know that. I know that very well. Yeah, John Mellencamp is a painter, and he said if you're a creative person, you have to create every day.
Yeah.
He said if he doesn't create something, whether it's writing a song or painting, he feels like he's wasted the day.
Yeah.
So, and I understand that completely.
I've got to admit to the audience that Paul and I collaborated on a song many years ago. Had a good time doing that. So I'm thinking about your stories. Do they do they start with a character? Do they start with a scenario? How does that work for you?
Well, let's see. The Dropping Stones first book. It was just it was a scenario really, and the story is semi autobiographical. So so the story is playing out in my mind a little bit, and I don't know where it's going. I don't, but like I said, I know the beginning, I knew the end, and getting there was the work, was the challenge. As far as I try to keep it organic, and like the Well of Depravity, my fourth novel, that just came out of nowhere, and I had no idea why this was coming to me, and so I had the first couple chapters, and then I'm waiting for the rest. I'm waiting to be guided. Like, where's this story going? And I went dry, and I set it aside for a summer. I thought, okay, well, maybe I misread this. Maybe I'm not supposed to write this. Maybe I got this wrong. And then I went back to it in the fall of that year, and just started writing. And all of a sudden, it just came to me. I said, "Oh, that's what this story's about. Okay, now I know where I'm going." But even that, even as you're writing it, the characters will surprise you, even though you're controlling them. Like, wait, why would she say that? And then it just leads to something else, and you never know where the story's going to take you.
Well, I was thinking, like I started writing something several years ago, and it's just sat on the shelf, but it's bugging me, right? It's like now it's becoming a little yappy dog. Before it was just a thing. So I'm wondering if sometimes, and let me know how you feel about this or think about this, if sometimes more life experience has to happen before you can finish it.
Sure. Absolutely. That could be the thing. The other thing is, at some point, it's just a matter of putting a sentence down. As Hemingway said, write one true sentence, the truest sentence you know.
Yeah.
Just write that, and it'll oftentimes it'll just flow from there. So it is there is some practicality to it. You just have to
I think I was supposed to hear that today.
You can do it, Shannon.
Yeah.
Trust me, if I can do it, anybody can.
So your stories they really go deep into people's emotions. Now, was that an organic thing, or was that also a conscious decision?
Yeah, I think that comes from my Hemingway influence, because he always wrote in the first person. And I really enjoy working in the first person, writing in the first person. It does limit your surrounding characters. They become a little less deep because you're not in their minds, but it gives you complete depth on your main character. And so the compliments that I get are, it was great to be in the mind of this person and really feeling what he felt and thinking what he thought. So again, there's a trade-off. So if you're writing in the omniscient and you know everyone's character, everyone's motivations and everything, that's one thing. But if you're writing in first person, you're really doing a deep dive on the main character.
And now a word from our sponsor. And today, that would be me. If you're creating, growing, or figuring things out, encouragement matters. The Sock Monkey Oracle card deck is something really special. It's like having a creative friend you can turn to when you need reassurance, clarity, or a gentle reminder that you're doing way better than you think. You can find it on Amazon, and it's there for those moments when you need support without judgment. That's the Sock Monkey Oracle. Find it on Amazon today. Now, back to our show. And now we're back. I was thinking about, back to the emotion side of it. Is there an emotional truth or reoccurring theme in your work?
I think the theme is, and I guess the only theme really is, we are imperfect people. There is not going to be, and we lead imperfect lives. And there's the Dropping Stones series is really centered around forgiveness. So you're accepting people as they are. You accept their flaws, and also I hope people realize that from reading my stories that we have no idea what's going on behind the eyes of anybody we meet. It's especially true with the well of depravity, with Evan, the main character. On the surface, he is very put together, but he's got some awful proclivities hanging out in his mind, that he keeps secret.
Well, you've been able to span different genres. Was that conscious, or it almost seems like you're just given the stories, or you're given the inspiration, and then you go with it? Is that more like how it happens with you?
Correct. Yeah, with Dropping Stones and with the Well of Depravity. Like I said, the Well of Depravity was like, where is this coming from? Because this is completely different from the Dropping Stones series. This is just out of my genre. This is something like, why am I writing this? Where is this coming from? So I didn't set out to write a psychological thriller, or whatever you call it. But that's just the way, that's what happened. So I don't really set out to write a genre. I have a story, and whatever people want to call it this or call it that, I couldn't care less. But this is the story.
That's great. You just let it lead you.
Exactly.
Oh, I was thinking about, you do have both darkness and hope, and how do you, in your stories, how do you balance that?
Well, I'm not sure if I consciously balance it. It's just that that's life. There are dark times in your life. There are hopeful times in your life. There are dark people in your life. There are hopeful people in your life. A lot of times you just got to get out of your own way and see the hope, see the light. And I guess my books are more along the lines of consequences if you don't.
Yeah, and even the song you wrote. Same thing, just words. So
I thank you so much for collaborating with me on that. It was great.
Oh, it was great. So, what conversations do you hope that your readers have after finishing one of your books?
Oh, well, about the characters. My books are mainly character driven. You're not going to see a lot of explosions or car accidents or car chases in my work. It's mostly about the human experience. So conversations are where this character went wrong, where he could have done better, his choices, throughout, the main character, or, the ancillary character, the characters around him, what could they have done, or what did they bring to the table? But really, it's about the human experience. How can I be a better person?
So you've written Christian fiction without limiting yourself to a particular genre, but how do you weave that into your work?
One of my readers mentioned that I don't write overtly Christian.
Right.
I'm not trying to convert anybody. I'm not, that's not the goal of any of my work. I've always believed in being the example. Like in Matthew, it says, be the salt of the earth, be the light. So I try to be the light. I try to be the salt. And this is the example. And she said that was very much like C.S. Lewis. He wrote with a Christian worldview, but not outwardly to convert people.
Yeah.
So I think that's how they intersect for me.
So what has writing, if anything, what has writing taught you about yourself?
that I could finally do it, that I had the discipline to do it,
Yeah.
really. I mean, honestly, when I set out to write it, all I wanted to do was get a book onto Amazon so people can order a Hemingway book and my book at the same time, and that was, and I was happy as could be. When I finally hit that submit button. But actually, I was also as full of myself and arrogant as it could be because I did it, I wrote it, and I didn't get it edited. I just I know what I'm doing. I know punctuation. I know what I'm doing. So I just I published it, and so after the first few reviews, like you have an incomplete sentence in the second chapter, and I go. So I redid it, and then I finally got an editor to do it over. But I was just happy, and that I had a book on Amazon. Honestly, that was the goal for me, and I was happy. But then, the reviews and the people were talking about it. Like, wow, like I had a phone call from someone, a man, practically in tears, as he's telling me about the book. He said, "That's me. I'm that main
Wow.
character." Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So that was very moving. So that was like, okay, job well done. You did it. But that okay, well, maybe I can write another one. Where do I take this character? What else can happen to this character that I can create a story? And that's how Kingmaker came about. And then again, like, where's your third book? Okay, well.
Yeah, it's always about. I always get questions about what's next. What are you going to do? Yeah, like, oh, I'm still getting my equilibrium from the first one.
Exactly, yeah.
So, do you ever get stuck or discouraged?
Discouraged? No. Stuck? Yes. Yeah. And I think that's every writer. You come to a point where, and I never try to force anything. If I'm stuck, I'm not going to sit there for an hour and try to get unstuck. I'm stuck. I'm done for the day or whatever, or take a walk or listen to some music or find some other inspiration. Because I feel like if you just get it out of your mind and come back to it, something snaps, something will ignite me. Oh, okay, I know what I can do now. But I don't try to force it. Never.
Yeah, it's like when you're doing something else, maybe even doing the dishes or something, all of a sudden it's like, oh,
Right.
now I know what to do.
And I use my notepad on my phone a lot because if I'll be at work or just doing something else, and I'll be, yeah, that's a great line. I gotta put that in my phone, and then I'll come back to it.
Do you think creativity is something people are born with or something they grow into?
Personally, I feel like I was born with it. Like I said before, I think this was written into my DNA from the get-go. So that was a gift, and I feel terrible that I waited so long, to use that gift. Now, what I think a writer could take credit for is refining it and being a better writer. But I think the gift itself, I think you're born with.
Yeah. Well, I was a late bloomer as well, and I think I was in I painted a little bit, but nothing official, when I was a kid. I did music early on, and I thought I was going to be a rock star.
Yeah,
that didn't happen.
I went with it there. I wrote songs, and I used to have I had a drum machine, I had a guitar, a bass, a keyboard, and boy, it was terrible. So the universe or God, whatever, was very kind to me in shutting that down real quick.
Yeah, I called some of those shifts a course correction from God. I'm going off on the wrong track, and boom.
Exactly.
So, what are you currently working on? You said you'd started a collection of short stories. Are they going to be published together, or?
Yes, yeah. I'm hoping to put 5 of them together. I have 2 of them done, not edited, but I think they're done, and I'm working on the other 3. Again, each one of them is just there's a theme to all of them. So I think my theme was conscious, but the stories themselves are fairly organic that are coming to me. I think two of them could actually be novels, but I'd rather just keep them short stories. So, like I said, I have a surgery coming up, so I'm going to be off work for a few weeks. Hopefully I can use that time well.
Yeah, I was just thinking. Sometimes it's in the recovery and taking you out of your normal situation that other things come. So if there's somebody that's just really afraid to even start, just they want to do it, but they're just afraid, what would you say to them to get them going?
Well, two things. I would say there's a reason why that story is there. There's a reason why you're thinking about it. There's a reason why you want to do it. And it's because it needs to be done. It needs to be written. And the second thing I would say is like what I said before, just write a sentence.
Yeah.
The hardest thing every day in the morning, I get up at 4 a.m. every morning. And the hardest thing is just to get that start, just to put the first leg out of bed and onto the floor. It's so nice just to lay here, No, I got to go. So you got to put that first foot on the floor. So write that first sentence. Just do it. There's no substitute. There's no magic that's going to happen here.
Yeah.
You got to take your fingers and put them on the keys and create something.
Yeah, the music's got to find you working.
Yep.
It's interesting. I get up at 3, 4 in the morning too, and so my creativity is the first thing I do because otherwise, and that started from when I had a full-time day job, and then I kept that because if I don't do it first thing, I allow life to get in the way. So this makes me do it.
Also, for me, my mind is best in the morning.
Yeah, me too.
Like up till noon, I'm golden. After that, I don't think I'm at my best.
We have the same schedule. I don't do too much that requires a lot of thought afternoon and forget. I used to shoot my television show at 5 o'clock in the evening. That was torture.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
That was really hard. So where can people find out more about you?
I sell my books exclusively on Amazon.
Okay, great.
So if you see them anywhere else, it's a phishing scam, and you're going to get you're in for trouble. So I kept it exclusive to Amazon. As far as social, I'm on X at PKC 1963. I have an author page on Facebook, and I do have a blog that I haven't contributed to in a while, but that is thoughtsthatescapeme.com.
Well, thank you. You've been incredibly inspiring, and I'm going to start writing.
Good. Shannon, you are a bright light in this world, and I'm so blessed to know you. Thank you so much for thinking of me.
Thank you. I feel blessed to know you too. Well, guys, that's a wrap. Thank you for joining us for another episode of We Are Made to Make. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share so that we can make more episodes. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.